I've always believed in nutrition and herbs. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals, sourced from powerful organic herbs, harvested around the planet, and then concentrated for maximum potency.
I just received my Male Vitality about 3 days ago, and I must say that is good stuff.
After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic Super Male Vitality formula. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose.
I jump out of bed ready to fight these criminals every day. I look forward to waking up and taking my Super Male Vitality and getting the day started.
It's not just the Super Male Vitality. All the products at InfoWarsLife.com are simply amazing. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality and other powerful products from InfoWars Life. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. In the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at MadeIn1776.com. The already discounted Made in 1776 t-shirts are only $17.76. We have the new belt buckles that in only 2 weeks of sale are very close to selling out. There's only 500 of each. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in nickeled brass. This is more than a summer blowout special. This is a new declaration of independence. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at prisonplanet.tv for a limited time, only $39.95 a year. That's more than 5 months free off the regular price. Not just this July 4th weekend, but the entire month of July at MadeIn1776.com. Molon Labe, you can take my gun from my cold, dead hands. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to. We are an explosion and we are defending immediately. Let's try our best.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened, an acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and you be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
And if there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans and everybody in between, it's that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And ladies and gentlemen, we seek the truth here on this broadcast. David Knight, with his analysis, host of InfoWars Nightly News, is with us. Paul Watson joins us from London, England. And he's been following this throughout the night and this morning, not even sleeping. It was first basically pointed out by the German media and then picked up by Zero Hedge and now CBS News, is saying, why was plane flying over war zone when all other air traffic for months has been directed out of the area? This was the sole plane directed on its flight plan, the Malaysian doomed flight. So the big issue, and it's finally starting to get some traction, which is good, it could stop a larger war, is why was it directed over the war zone? It isn't even about who shot it down. And then there's this kind of rah-rah, Ford versus Chevy, Coke versus Pepsi, Redskins versus the Cowboys idea that I see in the comments on YouTube and Infowars.com going, come on, traitors, get behind a war. Let's have war with Russia. Let's have a war. Hey, they got nuclear weapons, folks. All these Arab countries, whether you love Israel or hate Israel or neutral, that say we're going to push you into the sea and blow you up. Israel's got 800 nuclear weapons. You're not going to do anything. Same thing with Russia. You know what my interests are? The truth, and my kids not being in a nuclear war. Or gas prices not being $5 a gallon. They're racing up right now. Or Christians and innocent Muslims being murdered by Al-Qaeda and ISIS everywhere. Or Saudi Arabia caught red-handed launching chemical attacks on Assad to blame it on him. That came out mainstream news after we broke it and WorldNet Daily broke it and DrudgeReport.com carried our stories. It came out later, months later, that indeed happened. But no one remembers it because the admission is in the back of the paper. Oh, BBC. Yeah, that was, Saudi Arabia and Turkey and NATO staged 3 chemical attacks. The UN even admitted it. I mean, that's bombshell. So, of course, I look at this and say, is NATO involved? But I got to tell you, NATO may not have been involved in the way we think. It's kind of like telling a 2-year-old go play in traffic. Did you kill the 2-year-old? No, you told him. There's like a Yosemite Sam episode that's politically incorrect, so it's been banned off TV. It used to be on YouTube, where he goes and marries a rich widow, but he doesn't know she's got this giant son who he's got to take care of and carry around on his back. It's called X Marks the Spot. And he sits there and goes, now go play fetch. And he throws the ball out in the street, so the giant 2-year-old can go out and get run over. But instead it's Yosemite Sam that gets run over, and he has him, jump in a pool full of alligators. Go swimming, Wentworth. Okay, Daddy. And that's basically it. They know the Malaysian airline doesn't know. It just gets directed by the NATO-run FAA system. FAA's over there over NATO. And they just run him right into there. Or they could have changed the transponder, anything. Bottom line, what do police look at in all criminology developed in England 300 years ago? Scotland Yard, the model of modern policing. You look at who stands to gain the motive. Then you look at the means. You look at the capacity to be able to actually carry it out. Then you look for the evidence of who the most likely suspect is. And surprise, surprise, to quote Gomer Pyle to Sarge, 9 times out of 10, it's who has the motive. That's all I'm saying. And there's a good chance the Russians actually shot this down because they said a week ago, all right, you killed thousands of people the last week. Ukraine brags they did it. You're blowing up whole cities. You're bombing schoolyards. You're blowing up churches. We're going to have targeted responses to it. And they went, really? We're going to start directing airlines right over the zone. Who is to blame? And again, if Russia, it turns out premeditatedly, wanted to shoot down a jet airliner so that Putin looked really bad, and so Russia got sanctions put on them so that they can have World War III, I will decry Russia. But you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they? Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly. They don't have a motive. Now, in the next hour, we do have Sorbo coming on for 10 minutes to talk about his film, which is very interesting. He was the guy that played Hercules and the rest of it. Very interesting new Liberty film he's in. But then after that, it's going to be open phones open phones right through that hour to give us your take on this. And then Catherine Albrecht is set to be in studio with us. We'll cover the waterfront with her. But David Knight, we're going to go to you in a moment with the proof of what I was just saying, with the FAA announcements directing U.S. aircraft not to go anywhere in the Crimea. But we also have a European advisory from over a month ago. So we're not just going to say that, we're going to prove it. Because even CBS is like, why were they flying there? No. That's part of the question. The big enchilada is, why were they told to fly over it when the directive to everyone else was, for months, don't do it? See, they don't want you looking at that. And I'll get the emails and the comments. Why do you like Putin? Never been to Russia. I don't have any Slavic blood. I'd be proud of it if I was. Very smart, engineers, smart people. I mean, great classical music, very interesting culture. I don't have any Slavic blood in me that I know of. Okay, folks? But here's the deal. I don't want to have World War III with them. I just don't know how to explain that to you. I guess I'm an extremist. I'm a bad person. I don't like George Soros bragging a month ago that he ran the whole operation and putting Nazis in to overthrow things. So people are like, but Putin's bad. Whatever. I'm sure Gaddafi wasn't good either. Is Al-Qaeda better? No, they're 10 times worse. The globalists are the ones on the march, folks. So I'm on the march trying to foil destabilization of our world. Because I want prosperity. I don't want Cloward and Piven. I don't want Agenda 21. I'm sorry. I called the guys in and I'm ranting. Paul Watson joining us from England. I know you're going to be writing an article soon that no one's picked up on that David Knight pointed out. Ukraine already shot down a passenger liner. But none of this has gotten any coverage. It was years ago, but when they did it, it didn't try to start World War III. And back then, it was a Western-backed government. But Paul Watson, what do you have for us joining us from London?
Well, that's right, Alex. I mean, you look at the history. 2001, Ukraine admitted it shot down a Russian airliner, killed 78 people. But, you can go back even further. I mean, which country has planned to shoot down commercial airliners to blame on other countries to start wars? 1962 Operation Northwoods, quote, "It is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civil airliner en route from the United States." So they planned it then. 2003 Downing Street memo. The US had a plan to paint up a US military plane in UN colors, fly it over Iraq, get Iraq to shoot it down as a pretext for the invasion of Iraq. And as he said, 2001, Ukraine admitted that it shot down this Russian airliner. So the history proves that the only people who have actually plotted to do this as a casus belli, as a false flag to start a war, is the United States and NATO. And as you were talking about before, July 8th, 10 days ago, Ukraine's state aviation service banned all flights over this very same region, rerouted them around the region. In the previous 10 days to this incident, Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 avoided this very area. The one day it didn't was yesterday, and the maps are in the video that's on Infowars.com that I put out this morning.
Oh my gosh, print that. I had forgotten about the 2006 February 2nd article where Bush and Blair planned to get a U.S. aircraft or UN aircraft shot down to blame Saddam or to blame others. I mean, they've done this over and over again. Bush-Blair 2003 Iraq memo, they wanted to get, again, a U-2 spy plane shot down in UN colors as a pretext for invasion. We got to go with the headline, U.S. plan to to use aircraft shoot down to start war. I mean, it's just, they just do it over and over again, Paul. But we're not, according to the Boston Globe, we're not supposed to question anything. We're just supposed to believe whatever they say.
Well, they always try and seize the narrative immediately, the mainstream media, and then anybody else that has any speculation whatsoever, they're bad, they're evil. Another aspect which is interesting is there were panicked tweets from this civil aviation, this air controller who was in the tower at Kiev Borispol Airport when this incident went down. And he claimed, again, this is not confirmed, but he said 3 minutes before the radar tower lost contact with the Malaysian Airlines plane, it had Ukrainian fighter jets surrounding it. He says that Kiev shot it down. He said there were people, Kiev authorities immediately rushed up to the control tower, basically threatened them all, told them to shut up. He was panicking, tweeting all this out. Of course, his Twitter account's been shut down. But he was in the actual control tower saying, this is Kiev that